All right, we are now recording. Welcome. Following I want to make sure everybody's receiving the email that I'm sending out to this group. If you aren't receiving the email, you need to look in your spam folder and whitelist it. That's a procedure in your email where you can take a particular email address and note it as not being spam because it comes from an email company, bulk email company, AWeber. They're highly respected. They're probably the best in the industry. That's why I chose them, so that my emails would get through. But it still notes as being from a mailing list, and so you're probably going to need to whitelist it. Mark it as being something that you always want to receive, so it won't be going into your spam folders. The next thing, you should have all received an email late Thursday evening. I had links to some new recordings. Those are on my regular YouTube channel. They will eventually come off of YouTube and be put into my website, but for now that's just the most convenient place to do it. Our recordings are going into that other YouTube channel. It's not a private YouTube channel. If you searched for it and knew what you were looking for, you could find it. Okay. Another thing that I spoke with actually Amy McKenzie yesterday. You have a setting on your Zoom app or on your computer if you're using the desktop application where you can set this up as a speaker view, meaning you only see the individual that's speaking, and then if somebody else speaks, their picture comes up. Or you can set it up on gallery view, which is the way I have it, where you can see everybody. It's just a series of little boxes. If you saw the replay from Thursday night, that's the way it was most of the night, because the recording is only going to have what I have. Okay, it's going to record what I see. And so you just use it whatever way you want. Good morning, James. Use it any way you want. One of the reasons I want to have everybody on camera and interacting. Here's one of my hidden agendas. Over the next several weeks, we're going to start developing some excellent new guy stories. Now, the new guy story could be, one of you that's been around for a long time and kind of re-engaging. You could have somebody like Berdina, who's a platinum. I mean, Berdina's story goes, everybody in Zija knows Berdina's story. Retired school teacher, joined Zija for the products. Ends up, I think it was like 3 years, she created, good morning, Ethan, created a retirement income that surpassed the income it took her 30 years as a teacher, and she drives a convertible Mercedes-Benz where everybody else in her neighborhood drives John Deere tractors. I mean, she's already got an established business. She could have a new guy story. I've been, enjoying my Zija business, and just in the last couple of weeks, I refocused my energy, and let me tell you what's happened in the last 30 days. Okay, and what I'm looking for, whether it be from somebody that's basically just getting out of the gate like Ethan, somebody that's been involved for quite some time, regardless of where you're at, what I'm looking for is the new guy's story. And so what I'm hoping for is to have to develop relationships amongst each of you. Imagine how valuable it would be to your business and your downline if you could have a dozen brand new stories. People have just made $400 this week, made $1,000 last month, and have a dozen different stories that you could connect your personal prospect with, or connect one of your downline distributors, a new distributor's prospect with. Imagine the power of having those stories. And this is what we want to understand about our business. There's nothing more to this business than setting appointments with prospective distributors or customers. It works either way, but our focus is in building distribution networks, not creating a consumer base in a linear fashion, one customer at a time. Imagine how powerful it would be to have a dozen new stories. There's a hidden agenda here. I can't be the one that does every three-way call. And frankly, you don't want me to be doing every three-way call. For most people, it is a much more powerful story. Somebody that got started and in their first 30 days made $300, $500. We don't need to be talking about making millions of dollars. Most people cannot even relate to, frankly, a monthly income that we have, okay, and relating that as an annual income, okay? You don't need to be talking about that. There are some people that you're going to have on the phone that need to hear that they can make $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000, $500,000. In which case, that's when you bring in, people like myself, okay, so that you can document for them. Yes, that is available to them. However, for the most people, that new guy's story, average person will get in network marketing if they can make $250 a week. They will jump in. $250 a week. That's $12,000 a year. Imagine when was the last time somebody got a $12,000 a year raise from their job. We don't need to be talking about millions of dollars. So this is why I want everybody on camera. I want you to start developing relationships. Anthea Noonan created that private or secret Facebook page. Great way to connect. If you haven't been included in that, get a hold of the upline leader. They'll get you included in that. This is a hidden agenda I have, and it's going to be very much to your advantage. The last point, and then I'm going to open this up for questions and that sort of thing. Everybody's going to work at their own pace. Okay, we got to understand not everybody's circumstances are different. I did share with you, I was looking for a daily method of operation, 90 minutes a day committed to your business, 30 in the morning, 30 midday, 30 in the evening, what have you. Some of that stuff can be non-productive hours, like when the family's gone to bed or before they wake up. Now, maybe you're reviewing the recording from the last session. Maybe you're reviewing, Jim Rohn's CD. This is when you get, going to Facebook. A lot of times, one of the privileges that I've had recently is I don't have to conduct, the evening opportunity presentations. A lot of times, I'm not catching the calls. A lot of times I'm catching David's call while I'm in the shower. I'm catching the Josh's call on Wednesday nights. I'm catching that Thursday morning at 4 a.m. when I wake up. Everybody's got to find a different way to make it work. So when you hear the multi-level gurus saying, you're not serious if you're not contacting 3 people a day. It just depends. Okay, it depends on what you are doing, what you need, and how fast you need to get going. Sure, that's great, but I'm going to tell you right now, most of the people that will tell you from stage, you got to contact 3 new people every single day, they aren't doing it. All right, it's hard to do that. If you're doing 3 calls a day, then you got 3 follow-ups the next day, plus 3 new outbound calls, and the day after that, you got 3 second follow-ups plus first-time follow-ups, and then your 3 new. That's a pretty aggressive schedule. Everybody's going to advance at their pace. Let me, think about it in this form. If I only made $100,000 a year, I would not consider myself to be successful in multi-level, because that is much, much less than my capacity. If somebody was making $250 a week, $12,000 a year, and that literally added 50% more to their income. They make $24,000 a year and they just added another $12,000 a year. It's a 50% increase. That is amazing. That is an incredible success. So it's all relative to the individual. Here's the key. Are you stretching yourself? I've heard this so many times. I think it was my 3rd year. I walked into the 3rd year at Emerald, and then I went Diamond 1, Diamond 2, Diamond 3 in the next 9 months. It was like about as fast as you could do it. And everybody was saying, "Oh man, that Fred Holmes, he's so competitive, man. He's so competitive." I have zero competitive, bones in my body. I frankly do not care, other than celebrating other people's success. It is not an issue to me. My idea of competitive sports, let me help you with this one. When I was 13, I joined a tennis team. Okay, tennis is my level of competitive sports, and I'm going to be real candid with you. It had a whole lot more to do with 13-year-old girls in short skirts than it had to do with anything else. Okay, that's I'm not a gym guy. I never have been a gym guy. I am incredibly competitive against myself. I hold myself to extremely high standards. If I write down I'm going to do, make 2 phone calls today and 2 follow-ups today, I do that no matter what, no matter what. I am competitive against myself. I hold myself to extremely high, standards, requirements of performance. And so that's what I want you to do. Hold yourself accountable, but do not for 1 second compare yourself to others, because it's nobody's business, and frankly it's a lose situation. You will always find somebody that can outpace you. There have been people that have come into Zija that outpaced me in income, but they're not here anymore because it was a flash in the pan. I'm looking for long-term sustained development of a business. So let me see if I've got, I think I covered all the things that I wanted to cover. And so let's do this. We know that at this point in time, hopefully you have committed to the #1 thing on the agenda, which was that why you want to do Zija. Why do you need to be successful? And I've shared this with a couple of you. That is, that particular assignment, if you will, that is critical. Okay, our business is 20% of what we do, 80% of who we become. And you need to have something that is so motivating as to keep you in the business long enough. You've heard me say, I'm sure, that the hardest part of multi-level is finding the right company. Folks, you got the right company, you got the right products, and at this point in the development of Zija, you got the right timing. When you can put all 3 of those things together, you have the ability to be a home run hitter, and you don't have to have 20 years of experience. Okay, when I started with Zija, I had the right company, right product, wrong timing, and I still set records in Zija. So you don't need to have everything, but you got everything now. That's why I'm engaging like I am right now. So the why, that's what keeps you in long enough. Anybody can do this. Anybody. It is relative to your level of personal development. That's why our focus right now tends to be, activities, correct activities. What are the things that we do? But I'm hoping that what I'll really be doing during this time is helping you go through that growth process. What Jim Rohn said, the greatest value of making $1 million is not the money, and trust me on that. Okay, $1 million is not a lot of money. Okay, it's not. The greatest value of making, becoming a millionaire is not the money. It's the person you have to become to make the money. Okay, it's why. Well, I don't want to take the whole time with you guys. So we've got a couple things. You should hopefully have gotten through Don Failow's first 4 chapters. As a Man Thinketh. I want to bring that one up real quick. I'm going to tell a quick story. My second company, I set, I was the fastest person in national marketing director. And the big whoopah, annual convention, and walk up on stage, there are a few thousand people in the room, everybody's applauding. Please welcome up Fred Holmes, our newest national marketing director. And I do a little jaunt from the back of the room along the side, that jaunt up onto the stage, skip a couple steps, walk up. The owner, president of the company, standing there. He's got his little plaque for me, and we take the pictures where, let's see, shaking his hand, holding the plaque, we're smiling like that to the cameras. And I'm looking at what's happening here, and after the fact, people said that must have been incredibly exciting for you. And of course I said, oh yeah, great. Honestly, it was kind of anticlimactic. It was like summer reruns, because for the year leading up to that event, every night before I go to bed, as I'm laying in bed, I'm going through my mind with the focus on the end result. Okay, I started with the end in mind. I didn't get involved in that company to do okay. I got involved in that company to do excellent. That's what I wanted to do. I'd had 2 years in the industry. I knew what I could do under the right circumstances. And what I did, to me at that time, the focus was become a national marketing director, and I focused on that particular evening. I'd go to bed imagining, you know, what the environment of the room looked like, doing the jaunt up to the stage, hearing my name over the loudspeaker, going out up there, standing on the stage. I could see the first couple of rows because of the lighting, but I could not see the rest of the audience because of the way the lighting was. Feeling the air conditioning, hearing the announcement, taking the pictures, you know, sharing the few words that I had to share, you know, that they, you know, you're expected to have a speech, right? I went through that over and over and over again, and every single time I replayed that in my mind, it got a little bit more refined and a little bit more defined, and it was a little bit more, you know, a mental picture. And so by the time it finally happened, it was like, I already saw this. I watch this channel every day. Now, here's the question. How did I get there? Well, first things first, it did require a lot of work. It required a lot of skill set development. It required a lot of personal development. It required an incredible amount of activities, correct activities on a consistent daily basis for a prolonged period of time. But it was all created in my mind first. I don't even want to tell you how many times I've heard people say, you know, I'll call them up, you know, were you on David's call last night? Yeah, I was, but he's always talking about the same thing. It's like, you know, how do you build a house? First, you got to imagine it. Then you got to go to the architect. Then you got to get, it's the same thing over and over again. Why is it the same thing over and over again? Because it's important stuff. Why do you tell your kids, don't put your fingers in the electric sockets over and over again? Because it's an important thing. So that as a man thinketh is the concept there. Each one of you have to already be envisioning where you're going to be, whether it be 90 days from now, whether it be a year from now, whether it be 5 years from now. Each one of you have the capacity over the next few years to set up your life for the rest of your life. I mean, I did in that last company. Now, it was nothing compared to what's happened with Zija, but for me, the ability to retire in my early 40s, to be able to work if I wanted to, not if I didn't. Imagine that, going into work and deciding, you know what, this isn't fun anymore. I don't need the money. See ya, right? Tell your boss, see ya, wouldn't want to be ya. Imagine the power of that. So the things that I'm asking you to do are for a reason. Last week, forgive me, I'm just a little bit behind the gun here. I actually slept until my alarm clock rang this morning, which is somewhat of a unique feat. You were to set, you know, complete the previous assignments, commit in writing your goals for the next 90 days, and then you should also go through that process of review the 90-day game plan. It's a one-day game plan times 90. And unfortunately, I use 2 sets of glasses, one for reading, one for looking at you guys. Write your long-term goals. Oh, last I'm focusing is the development of your story. Many of you don't have a story yet, but we need to create a story. But I've got that new training video on my regular YouTube channel, the story. And I'm looking for comments on the videos themselves. It was done at, you know, way early in the morning, and it was you know, quick and dirty, if you will, but hopefully there'll be something that we can keep up there for a while until I get a better quality going. All right, I'm done. What's going on with you guys? Okay, what's happening with this process with you that I can help with? You'll unmute your mic and don't everybody talk at one time. What can I help with?
Fred?
Yes.
Can you articulate as far as the timing of the company? I mean, we obviously all love Zija and see the value, but to hear you articulate it would help, to me, it'd help me to communicate it to others.
Okay. Yeah. That's Catherine's asking, when I talk about, we got right company, right product, and now right timing. And the right timing for the company. Oh, very good. Hate to tell you this thing, James, need to mute your mic. Oh, can you guys see each other's comments in the group chat? You can. Okay.
Yes.
Look down at the bottom of your screen. You should be able to see a few little things. On the far left, you'll see a mute button for your mic, a stop video for your video. In the center at the bottom, you'll see things like, you may not see all of them since I'm the host, but there's a little chat bubble, the little cartoon bubble. That's where you can chat. And so be aware I'm not really actually looking at that, even though that window's up. I have to walk and chew gum at the same time, and I don't do that real well. Timing. This isn't necessarily something that I would share with a prospective distributor. I'll share it with you. There is a standard concept in multi-level that there are two components to a multi-level business. One is the company, the other one is the distributor base. The company knows how to run the company. The distributor base knows how to build the large self-duplicating distribution organizations. And you need to have both sides of that coin to have an effective company. Here's the problem, is they can't cross over. Okay? They cannot cross over. And we had an environment for a few years where the leader of the corporate team, some of you may remember Rod Larson, did not know what he did not know. And we had challenges in terms of who was going to build the distributor base. And he decided that he knew a better way to do it. Now, the problem with that is if you've never done it, how can you teach it? All of you, quite frankly, have more tenure as a distributor in a multi-level business than any of the corporate team. Again, I'm not being negative. I don't expect them to. Here's what I expect the company. This is the company's responsibilities. Create the product, ship it on time, calculate our commissions, cut our checks on time. That's it. That's all they are accountable for. Now, it's nice if they do some other things, okay? Expand, what have you, develop resources for us, but that's all they really need to do. The distributors, our responsibility is move the product into the field. That's what we do. Now, you don't want distributors running the company, because I'm going to tell you right now, companies will go out of business. Distributors will want all the money. We're going to, instead of, 50% of commissional volume and goes to the company, 50% comes to us, we're going to want 75%. Don't let distributors run the company. Other side of the coin. Company can't run the distributor base. They don't know what to do. It's what, the 4 levels of awareness, unconscious incompetence. You don't know what you don't know. And we went through a series of about 3 years where the worst of two things happened. The people that did not know how to run a distributor base started deciding how to run the distributor base, and essentially de-edifying the people who really did know how to run the distributor base. Now, here's part of this unconscious incompetence. Just because it works doesn't mean it duplicates. And so every brand new distributor that hit it out of the park, that became the way to do it. That just because it works doesn't mean it duplicates. And what we need to do is duplicate. So we went into a situation where we went to flat growth for an extended period of time. And the other thing that happened, which was even worse if you can, is the field leadership backed out. I backed out. David backed out. Okay. Now we solved that problem almost 2 years ago. We've had about 1.5 years with the new corporate team, with Ryan and Jerem heading it up. We're moving in the right direction. So from a timing perspective, this is what we've got. And this is probably how I would share it with a prospective distributor. If you're looking for a long-term opportunity, it takes time to get the company prepared for significant growth. It takes time to mature. People understand that. Now, at 10 years in business, we're a relatively young company compared to the legacy giants. Amway, almost 70 years in business. Shackley, 50 years in business. Herbalife, 35, almost 40 years in business. Okay, compared to the $1 billion plus a year companies, we're not even a teenager yet. We're still grammar school, right? However, we've got world-class corporate leadership in the form of Ken Brailsford. And I'm going to keep telling Ken Brailsford's story because Ken Brailsford's story is the best story we got to sell. Okay, we have a management team that is more energetic, more focused on the development of the distributor base than anything I've ever seen, and that's a fact. Okay, that's not promotion, that is a fact. One of the most exciting things that I've personally experienced came out of Cancun last year in conversations with Ryan Palmer, because he was saying things that the company was going to do that were almost the checklist of the conversation I had with him 2.5 years earlier, when he was the second, the VP of the company, not the president, CEO. And he called me up and asked, what's it going to take to get the company growing again? And I'm sure his conversation when he called me was more about, Fred, what's going to take to get you to do the deal again? But that's the way he phrased it. And I told him, don't ask if you don't want to hear. And he said, I really want to hear. So I told him, I started running down the list. I tend not to be the most, if you ask me to be candid with you, better get your iron underwear on, because I'm going to share it. Okay. If you ask, I'm going to tell you. Otherwise, I'm going to try and be really good. Okay. But if you ask, I'm going to tell you. And I gave him a checklist. I told him, how the cow eats the cabbage. It wasn't very pretty. He accepted it. He was most gracious and respectful, and nothing happened for 2.5 years because he wasn't the number one guy. He couldn't do anything about it. When we let Rod go, it took some time, but many of the things that we talked about have already started. Bronze Success Trip, folks, which each one of you that has not yet achieved bronze is something that you really, really need to do. That's hopefully what we can accomplish for you here over this period of time, or at least set you up so that it's automatic within a short period of time. That was something I talked to him about. And why are we putting all this money into diamond events? If I want to go to Cancun, I'm going to go to Cancun. I'll buy the ticket. Let me tell you where you put your money in. The front end. Put it into your freshman class. You take a brand. I'm trying to think here if anybody's been to the bronze trip. I don't think anybody's been on the bronze event here. I went to the first one just because I had to be there. I had to be part of the first of everything in ZJ because I've been part of the first of everything in ZJ. The people walked away from that event 10 foot tall and bulletproof, okay, because they got the facts. They know what this is about. See, if you aren't dealing with the facts, you're fooling yourself, okay? And it's a short term, it's hype, it's like, rah-rah, it's the convention or whatever. The facts are what we need to arm ourselves with. Here's the fact. Nobody in the history of multi-level has ever built 2 long-term companies. Ken Brailsford has. Nobody in the nutritional market space has what we've got. Okay, not only are we the only people with Moringa, and there's a couple of little tiny players out there that, well, actually a couple of the companies that, well, our juice is better. We got Moringa and we got Noni and we got, a C, and we got all the berries in our drink. They're not even around anymore. They're already gone. Our essential oils, best in the marketplace. Our AGX component of that, cutting edge. Nobody's even thinking about that yet. When you're armed with the facts, then you know that you know that you know. Now, timing. And this is a little bit promotional. When a company in multi-level, typical growth curve, relatively flat through that first, $1 million a year, then $1 million a month, You get 10 million a year, 20 million a year. It's a relatively linear growth curve if it's going to have any chance of being a long-term company. There are some companies that, I mean, you know, and they're already gone. There's been a few companies that have come in since I've been in Zija, you know, and they hit, you know, 100 million their first year. What's wrong with Zija? Nothing's wrong with Zija. That company that they were talking about, it's already gone. However, there's a magic point in time when the growth curve hits. Typically, it's somewhere around that $100 to $200 million a year. There's enough going on. There's enough, you know, distributors in the marketplace. There's enough product stories. There's enough income stories. It almost starts to take on a life of its own. Okay, that's what we call the momentum stage. And you know, momentum is a big deal, and it's very much an intangible. You can't. It's not black and white. It's esoteric, and when you get it, then it's almost like you can't do anything wrong. You smell good, you look good, no matter what. And so what we're talking about right now is this concept of right timing. We're right at that point in time. Now, here's the problem, is because of the little management hiccup we've had, we've been at that $150 million a year for the last 4 years. Okay, this is the part that almost makes me nauseous, is where our company could be today had we not had false leadership. And we've lost a lot of good people. Okay, however, we are at a point in time where I mean, our product line, I mean, you can't do any more. All right, we've got every single thing that we need from a product line perspective to do something amazing with, you know, back in the old days when we had, you know, Zija in a can. Here was the big exciting thing. We got Zija in the Smart Mix format in powder. I mean, we were like over the mountain on that one. We thought, oh my gosh, we're going to get rich now because we can actually carry it on an airplane. I can ship some, you know, week's supply to my buddy in New York, and it won't cost me my first child. You know, we can expand internationally. We can expand internationally. And then we got, you know, the original XM3 came in 16-ounce bottles. Boy, I'll tell you, 16-ounce bottles and 32-ounce bottles. No, was it that? Or was it 8-ounce? I don't know, but man, I love that stuff. That was great, man. I'll tell you what. Talk about needing to go to a meeting. Hi, my name's Fred Holmes, and I'm an addict. But you know, now today, honestly, we got too much product. Our products are too good, and we got too many. Yeah, it sounds silly, but that's the biggest problem with Zija right now. Is we've got our products are too good, and we got too many. But we've got, you know, our corporate team, Jerem, Josh, and Ryan, head up by Ryan. Okay, they're a young team. Make no mistake about it. They are young. But they got the right stuff. Okay, they're energetic, their focus is correct, their heart is correct, and they are listening to the people that know what to do. You know, you can't, well, I'm going to get off track there. So from a timing perspective, we're at that, you know, we're before that $150,000, $200,000 or $1 million a year mark. That's where companies that have the capacity to be around for the long term, to become, you know, $500 million a year or more, that's where the growth curve starts to become exponential. And that's probably the way to explain it. Instead of growing linear growth, it becomes exponential growth. And the people that hit the front side of that wave, regardless of their skill set, their level, as long as they're engaged in the correct activities, they're going to rise with the growth of the company. Okay, that's what happened to me in my last company. Okay, I'm not telling you that I wasn't good. By that time, I was good. Okay, I'm a hard worker. I'm going to do well anywhere. Okay, that was an example of what happened with Zija during the first 3 years I was Zija, because it was not the screaming giant, right? But it was a big advantage. That company I was with, we went from $1 million a month in sales volume to $1 million a day in sales volume in 36 months. We blew that company up. The company had been a traditional direct sales company. They've been in business like, I think, 17, 18 years when I joined them. And they've been a traditional direct sales company. They added a multi-level component into their direct sales compensation plan a few years earlier, and then a couple of us from the old Herbalife company found them, and we said, hey, we know how to do this, and we blew them up. They had no idea if you know how to promote, if you know how to tell the story, if you know how to take an average person with an above average willingness to work and desire to succeed, they had no idea what could happen from a sales volume perspective, and we blew them up. And and then sadly, after 8 years, 6 years in, we told the company we needed a back-end consumable. The corporate leadership thought they knew what to do because we built such a huge company. They figured they were 10 foot tall and bulletproof. They already knew what to do. And then unfortunately, they spent 2 years going one direction, another, and another, some of the stupidest things I'd ever heard of. I tried to stay with them, and finally, after 2 years, I said, "Nah, you guys are, I'm done, right? Been there, done that. Don't need to do this." And that company almost crashed. It's now been in business. This is another 10, 15, 18 years later, and they've come back, but they're just a shout of what they used to be. They'll never be $1 billion a year company, which is kind of a sad thing. So anyway, timing, the way I'd phrase that, we've got the right products, the right energy, and we're a young company, and we're at that point in time in the growth curve when you find a company that's somewhere between that $100 and $200 million a year. That's the beginning point of the momentum curve, and the run from $100 million a year to $500 million a year is where the fortunes are made in our industry. That was a very good question, Catherine, because it was a focus on how do I present to a prospect. Did that help? Did my answer help? Yes? Okay. What other questions? What's going on with you guys that I can help support right now?
Hey, Fred.
Cindy.
Hey. How about if you just kind of run through, like if you were to meet somebody or you casually know somebody, how would you go ahead and approach?
All right, very good. This is the next part of the training. Right now, you guys remember the old Saturday morning fast start training. I talked about how to do the story. And really what I was doing is it was for the new guy to preface for them that the story is what's going to make them rich. Okay? It's not the 92 ingredients. I don't even know what the 92 ingredients are. Okay, I know there's 46 somethings. It's not the ingredients. It's not the compensation plan. It's your story that's going to cause people to want to get involved. The second component was the list, how to put together the list. Then the system, invitation, presentation, validation. And then onboarding a new distributor. That was the original format of Saturday morning fast start training. I've got the first components down on the videos. All right, so we got the story, we got the list. So the next one is invitation, presentation, validation. So what's important here, Cindy, is that whatever it is we do, we talk in terms, and you need to write this in your notes, folks. Talk in terms that make it simple, fun, and works like magic. Our new prospect, our prospect needs to look at this and be going, wow, this looks pretty simple. Looks like it'll work. I think I can do it. Looks simple. Looks like it'll work. And I think I can do it. And whatever it is that we're doing, if the process imparts that focus, that perception to our prospect, they'll come in. If we are telling them about, a hybrid binary compensation plan, with a 50-50 match, binary, 10% on the lesser leg volume, what's that mean? Doesn't mean anything, okay? If we're talking about, well, you can use this essential oil for this, that one for that, but don't do it this way, do it that way, and don't do it that way, don't do it this way. People, how do you take the essential oil? Bathe in it, put it in your ears, whatever, okay? The prospect needs to hear from us. Whatever we say, the prospect's mindset should go towards, this looks simple, it looks like it'll work, and I think I can do it. Our whole presentation needs to be fun, simple, magical. It's fun, it's simple, and it works like magic. Now, with that foundation, that should help eliminate a lot of things you're going to talk about. You shouldn't be talking about the ingredients in the product. You should be talking about the results people are getting in the product. You shouldn't be talking about, how, cycles and periods and volumes and rolling weeks and this and lesser legs and, 4,000 here and 5,000 there, but PV versus CV versus BFD. None of that makes any difference. What you need to be talking about is, my young friend James, started in the business, shared the product with a few friends, talked to a couple of his buddies about the business. He made $700 last month. He's 21. My friend Fred, this guy used to be a truck driver. He got started with the company, and in his first year, he was able to make a full-time income, and he does it part-time. He takes care of his elderly mother. He just does it around that schedule, okay? Another friend of mine, her name's Berdina. She was a retired school teacher. She started to use the product, got great results, her and her husband. She decided to get involved in the business when we introduced our Mercedes-Benz program, where the company will pay for your Mercedes-Benz. In 3 years working part-time, she exceeded the income of her retirement from her teacher's salary. Took her 30 years. In 3 years, she built a better retirement, and she's driving a convertible Mercedes. See, it ain't about how does it work. It's about does it work. So that's what we share. Now, how do you do your prospecting? This is why it's so important to start a brand new person with a memory jogger. They got to talk to people that know them. This is a critical thing to understand. Most of the time, our average, the 80%ers, right? 80% of our distributor base comes in, and they're probably already the most successful people in their downline, in their prospect list, okay? In most cases. They're the ones that are trying to move forward. Okay, as a truck driver, I was the most successful person I knew. Now, unfortunately, we have to start where we got to start. The whole concept of working in a warm market, and then this is, I'm getting to what you're asking, or prospecting somebody we meet, the whole concept is the relationship. Our job is to share the story. Share the company story, share the product story, share the opportunity story. So we're talking about Ken Brailsford. We're talking about the products, but the product story is what's happened to people in the product. We're talking about the opportunity story, but the story is what's happened to people. We simply share the story. Now, here's the problem. We have to have people to share our story with. And somebody that knows us is much more likely to be willing to hear our story than a stranger. Got to be real clear on this. Like, people go cold calling businesses and gyms. I'm not saying there's something wrong with that. And if it's getting you results, that's fine. Just don't tell anybody you're doing it, because then everybody thinks that's what you need to do. Has anybody ever done any cold calling? I mean, I would rather repeatedly smash my thumb with a hammer than go cold calling, because it would be more fun. Okay? That's why I say, I'm not saying that there aren't individuals that can do things to build their Zija business that aren't duplicatable by the masses. I'm just saying if you do that, don't tell anybody, because you'll blow them out of the water. The first time somebody shoos them out of the door of their store, they're done, right? So we have to work in a warm market to share our story. Now, it is best, here we're starting to get some refinement. If you're going to prospect somebody, it's about sharing the story, and we want to have that story in a fashion that's meaningful to the individual. Okay, so for instance, if I approach Berdina, she's a retired school teacher. She has a good retirement program, and she and her husband, they're farmer ranchers in Kansas, so they got another business, and she's happy with her life. But the other thing we know is that she'd like to make some more money. Okay, everybody wants to make more money. Why does she want to make more money? They're comfortable, they're doing great. She's got grandbabies she wants to spoil, right? She wants to be able to jump on an airplane, go see the grandbabies whenever she wants. And how about this one? Take the grandbabies with her, right? That costs money. And so if I go talking to Berdina about making, an extra 100,000 a year, what's that mean? There's no meaning to it. If I talk to Berdina about an opportunity that retired folks are making a second retirement income and having a lot of fun, now I've got her attention. Okay, the invitation. Would you like to look at my business? Would you like to, hear about my product? We can't just do that. We got to do an invitation, something like this. Would you like to hear about what I did to lose 40 pounds? Would you like to hear about what my friend did to go back to the weight she was when she was married? She's a stay-at-home mom, homeschools a bunch of kids. Let's see. Darren, you raised your hand. Did you do that on purpose, or did you just poke the wrong button?
I raised my hand the last question you said.
Okay, you raised your hand. What?
To the last question you said, I don't remember now. You asked if we all did this. Let me turn this off, my echo, sorry.
No worries. You're asking me to remember what I said 10 seconds ago? Seriously, dude? That's why you got to jot down notes. Stuff just comes out of my mouth. I mean, it's good stuff, all right? Trust me, it's good stuff. So the focus has to be something meaningful to them. And the way to do that is to share the story. Now, when you're meeting somebody, okay, I'm not going to walk up to somebody and go, well, here's a technique. I don't encourage it, but you'll get a lot of results. You're fat. You need this. Okay? Give me 1 second, folks. I'll be right with you. You doing okay, Mama? What you need, Mama? I'm in the middle of the weapon. Sorry, guys. Mom's up earlier than normal. Let's see here. When you're prospecting a stranger, somebody you've just met, don't worry about trying to prospect them. Okay? Here's a concept. Don't look to see if you can make a sale. Look to see if there's a need for the sale. See, I don't and here's the other things. I don't prospect every Tom, Dick, and Harry I ever see. Okay, one, I don't have the time. Okay, I got to be a little selective of who I'm going to work with just because of a time situation. I understand the 80-20 rule. 80% of the people out there are not the people we're looking for. We're looking for the 20%ers. And then when we've found our 20%ers, we work with them. I work with everybody to define who's a 20%er. And then I work with the 20%ers, waiting for the 20% of the 20%ers to rise above the top. Okay? But I give everybody the chance. So I'm more about asking questions. So how you doing today? Great. How you doing? I'm doing well. Getting close to getting off work? You know, are you just getting here, or you're just about ready to leave? You know, try and find something to engage in conversation, because if I ask enough questions, the person's going to tell me what it is they need to hear to be recruited. Conversation with the grocery clerk. You know, I've seen you here for, you know, every time I've come in, go, I've been here for 37 years. Really? You've been working for Vons for 37 years? My goodness, that's incredible. You know, so what are you looking at retirement coming up pretty soon? I don't think I'm ever going to retire. You know, I've been trying to figure out how a way to do it. I just don't think it's ever going to happen. Really? Now, I'm not suggesting you prospect the person that's checking out the groceries at Vons and there's 14 other people standing in line behind you. Okay, that may not work that well. But you can see where the next part of the conversation's going. You might be interested in something a friend of mine found. What's that? She had a similar situation in like 3 years. She retired. And it's because she made an extra income. I don't know, is that something you're looking for? I've got a buddy that had to go back to work after he retired because he didn't have enough retirement, and 12 months later he was able to retire with an extra retirement check. Would that be something you'd be interested in? Now, if you took, you know, 10 people in that identical situation, 1 or 2 of them are going to say, well, yeah, what's it all about? And our industry is full of stories like, I don't know if you guys know the Brandon Hayes story. What's the sponsor's name? Gosh, I'm brain dead this morning. Who knows Brandon Hayes' sponsor?
I believe it's Kevin Brazel.
Thank you, Brazel. Kevin is and his wife, I think he might have a couple kids with him. They're out somewhere. They're having dinner. The little restaurant manager guy comes around and asks them how they're doing, that sort of thing. I guess he was just doing a good customer service. Thank you, Steve. And and Kevin prospected. You know, what are you doing? Well, it's with 2 jobs. Is, you know, I've got an opportunity where people are making, you know, huge incomes. Is that something you'd be interested in learning about? He said, now how many times do you think Kevin said that? He probably says that to every person that does a good job of providing service when he's eating. Okay? We're not, I mean, you know, again, why waste your time with somebody that obviously has a bad attitude? All right? Who's not trying to do the best they can with what they've got to work with. But how many times has he done it? Who knows? Maybe 1 million? But he got, you know, if you have a good story to tell and you tell it well, it'll often enough, it'll eventually fall in good ears. It just so happened that Brandon actually liked multi-level, had been involved in multi-level, had never had this, you know, the training support, what have you, wrong company, but he was desperately looking for a way to have what we got. So, tell the story often enough. So, come back with me, Cindy. Am I answering your question?
Yes. Yes.
Okay. Do you want me to clarify any more, or add to it, or do you want to refine it?
Well, okay. So, I guess I've hit a plateau. I've had some good experience, and now I've hit a plateau where, you know, I pique people's interest and I shoot them information, but then when I call them to follow up, they're too busy to get together. So I'm just thinking that that's probably, not high on their priority list. So they're probably not the people that I want, because I don't want to drag them in and have to keep dragging them around to get them to do anything. So I guess I'm looking for those Brandon Hayes. I'm looking for the people that are really, really searching for a better opportunity to do something and have a better life. So I guess I'm not seeing them at the gym. I'm not seeing them where I'm going. So I guess I'm thinking, okay, where can I go to find these people? How can I find these people that are the 20%, the ones that, are really, really seeking for something?
Okay, let me help you with that, because and you have to appreciate, you ask a question, I'm going to share what comes to my mind, and then that's why I come back and say, did I answer your question? Because I don't know, all right? I can only, you have to help me help you. Now, a couple things for you. If you started with a set of prospects and had some good results, and now the next batch of prospects, you're not having the same kind of results that you had, let me tell you what the difference is. Either the second batch of prospects are different from the first batch, or your approach is different. And I'm going to suggest to you that you need to look at what are you doing different in the second batch than you did in the first batch. And it could very much be you, not them. In the beginning, it's very easy to be, excited, motivated, ignorance on fire. That level of excitement is contagious. Okay, people are drawn to that. Confident people, excited people, motivated people. Who wants to hang around with a dud, right? Now, once you get a little bit of success underneath your belt, you can sometimes transition into more of a professional, and it changes your approach. So you need to look at that, okay? What's different? Is it you and how you approach them, or is it a different group of people? I'm going to suggest that the first thing to look at is, what are you doing different than from what worked? Okay? Now, one of the things that's critical so that you don't lose that kind of momentum is to understand that to understand that you want to be in a position where you are having difficulty finding time to prospect because you're prospecting down line. This is one of the most important things to understand. When you bring in that first new person, you want to be able to be so busy helping them with their prospects that it's just everything you can possibly do to find time to keep that commitment of talking to one new person a day. Okay, that's what I do. Okay, I am not a strong prospector, and then one of the challenges I have is I never leave the house. Right, the only place I go is I go to the gym, and there's only one person there, my trainer. Right, so more than likely, what has happened is the change in your approach, and where the missing ingredient is building in depth. If you've got, this is why, I heard one multi-level guru pitch his training on how to recruit 30 new distributors in 30 days. I got to tell you, that's the stupidest thing I've ever heard. All right, and the problem is, we got so many people out there pitching how to get 47 leads a day. Join my group, and I'll show you how to recruit 30 people in 30 days, and I'll show you this and I'll show you that. Problem is, most of those multi-level gurus and trainers and stuff, they never did it, and they obviously never did it. When you take people that have know this, because you can't do that. All right, I can work maybe 4 or 5 people at a time. because what I'm doing is I'm looking to get those people their first two, and then get them their first two, and get them their first two. There's the missing ingredient. Take what we've got, get them into action, and build down the line. Now, from your personal prospecting, and that stage one activities is frontline recruiting. You got to stay in stage one activities. Okay, you got to stay there, because until you create an environment where you've got so much going on that you can settle back, you got to create that before you can start relaxing some. And then if you do, guess what? Your team will tend to do it too. Okay, now, and this is a much higher level of understanding of how to work with. And, you know, when you're making, you know, $400,000 or $500,000 a year, I'll work with you on that one. Okay, but for right now, let's get you there. Analyze what are you doing different today with these new people than what you did before. Now, one of the things that I'm going to suggest in the prospecting process is to accelerate it. Make it a 10-minute deal. Got something, you know, frame it up in something that would be, you know, interesting to them, meaningful to them, something they need. Would that be something you'd be interested in looking at? Would that be something you'd want to learn about? Permission-based. Get them to say, yes, I want your information. Get the information quickly, but set up the follow-up call in advance. Tell you what I'm going to do. I want you to look at a little video clip I've got of a guy I'm working with, of the company that I'm working with. And I want you to meet a couple of the people we're working with so you can understand what's going on. I'm new. I want you to meet the people. See, nothing happens in the prospecting process until your prospect talks to somebody that's making money or more money than you. You need to share your story. You need to frame up the story in a way that it can be shared quickly with maximum impact. Okay? Shared quickly with maximum impact. And so when you're prospecting somebody, find out what it is and see if it's an opportunity to your story. You know, Jim, I don't know if you'd be interested in this, but, you know, just like you, I'm working my tail off, and I've had it. I've been doing real estate for so many years, the ups and downs. I'm putting together a secondary income stream. You know, last week I made $800. Now, it doesn't make any difference if you know, that week you made $800 and the 3 weeks before that you didn't make anything. You made $800 that week. Okay? Which is a little modification on how you've been sharing your story. Right? Now, you know, would you be, you know, I'm looking for a couple of sharp people. I don't know if it's something you'd be interested in. How about the takeaway? Bob, I know this isn't something you'd be interested in, but I'll bet you know a few people that are looking to walk away from this industry with a 6-figure plus residual income. Here's the problem we got. We're on commission. I'm looking for residual. Found it. Is that something you'd be interested in? What you're simply framing up your invitation in a fashion that will cause a person to say, yes, tell me all about it. Now, instead of you telling them all about it, take control of the conversation. What I'm going to do is, and then outline to them what the process is. Make sure they understand that the process is, look at some information, talk to my guy. Got to have that other part in there. Now, if they understand what they're going to do, then we're just looking for the people who are going to follow through. I'm going to suggest to you that the biggest difference between the first batch of people and the second batch of people is you were so enthusiastic, you were doing that, and now you become more formal or ritualistic and doing step 1, step 2, step 3. Now, the prospect thinks it's a 2-step process. You invite them to look, they look at the information, they make a decision. not the process. You invite, they look at the information, they hear third-party validation. It's a 3-step process. They don't understand that. But if you can, they think they look and decide. Well, if you can take those two and combine them so they understand it's they look and listen, look at the information, listen to your upline, and make that one step, you're going to move a lot farther towards the direction that we need to understand, which is nothing in the recruiting process starts until an upline has shared their story. Somebody else is, and for most time we're talking to the new person, but it works for me too. Nothing in my recruiting process happens until my prospect talks to one of my downline. Because if they don't believe that they can do what I do, then they're not going to get in. If they, they expect me to make money, okay? However, if I can give them Dee Dee's story or your story, Berdina's story, then they're going to realize, well, maybe I can't do as well as Fred, but maybe I can do as good as a school teacher. Got to have somebody else's story, okay? And so look at that as seeing if that's that more than likely that's a good direction at least to be looking in. Does that make sense to you? Do you believe that could possibly be something that's worth looking at?
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah.
Yes.
And the other trick with your business, and this is something where this is where I'm hoping that each one of you during this process has the capacity to see the issues that need to be taken care of and then do them yourself, to be independent as much as possible. Use only your upline for stories, because the bottom line is that we have a dearth of leadership in our company. There's only a handful of people in our company that are really, really know what to do. And if I had the time, I'd be all over your first 3 diamond packs. I'll be working 2, 3, 4 levels deep by now. And the problem is we got to get in there quick. Okay? Quick.
The problem I have with my ones that signed up that were so gung-ho, taking a trip, going away, don't have the time, da-da-da-da. So I hear excuse after excuse. Here, I'm ready. I want to commit that time to lead them and coach them, and I'm not getting them here. They're not coming.
Okay. How do you get, here's the question that you are asking me right now is, how do I get people to do what I want them to do? Mm-hmm. Okay, has anybody had that question? Okay, here's your answer. You ready? You can't. Okay? The very best you can hope for is that people want to do what you want them to do. Now, that's just fact of life. Here, if you take what we have, see, this is multi-level is life. I mean, it's geez, I think every kid in school should be required to learn how to do multi-level. Our job isn't to get people, I get this way. How do I motivate my downline? You can't. They got to bring that with them. It's one thing I can't give people. I can teach them how. Okay, I can, I can do that kind of stuff, but I can't teach them why. They got to want to do this. Now, if that's the case, does that mean, well, then we're just kind of at the mercy of life? No, I've got to follow up to that one, right? We can't get people to do what we want them to do. However, the best we can hope for is to get people to want to do what we want them to do. And how do we do that? Testimonials. Testimonials. Call up your new guy, your new gal. Hey, just thought I'd check in with you. I know you came back from that trip. You guys were going to take the 2 weeks off, and just want to see, hey, you ready to get back and going? Oh, yeah, I'd love to. I only need a little bit of time, blah, 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 blah. Okay, I understand that. Oh, by the way, did you hear what happened with Bob? No, what happened? He came in, followed the simple system, put him on the phone with Fred, whatever, frame your story up to get them to understand activities that you wanted to engage in. He brought in a brand new diamond pack, and with the double up bonuses, he made $500 last week. I'm so excited. This guy's keeping me busier than a one-legged man in a butt kicking contest. Okay, I'll let you run. Let me know when you're ready. How many times are you going to have to do that? See, I don't know. You could do that a million times. I may never do anything. But here's the concept. The best you can hope for is people will want to do what you want them to do. And how do you get them to do it? Testimonials. See, this is the magic of our business. If you learn how to be a great storyteller, you've mastered the most important part of our business. How do you get somebody to want to use your product? You can't. The most you can hope for is to get them to want to use your product. Can't talk them into it. Now, I might. Actually, I probably couldn't because I'm not that good. I know really good direct sales people. They can sell, iced Eskimos, right? That's a very small percentage of the population. It takes a long time to develop that. So that's not a technique that we're going to focus on in building a large self-duplicating distribution organization. Our business is about lots of people doing a little. If you had 10,000 consumers and you wanted to add another 1 or 2% to your consumer base, all you need to do is have a few of those people get one customer, right? This is a business of a lot of people doing a little, not one person doing a lot. And so we stay away from, techniques and that sort of thing. Technique is, where do you go? What do you say? What do you do? Who do you talk to? I want to teach concepts. Concepts are things that are duplicatable by the masses. And if I can get something where the masses can do what I do, then I'm going to have a huge organization. Okay. Will it take a lot of work? Absolutely. Okay. You got to become better than you were? Absolutely. But the things that we do are pretty simple. Testimonials is the motivating thing. That in and of itself, if you learn how to be a storyteller, Amy McKenzie, I told her I was going to use the line, and she would just have to say, oh yeah, that's a great line that Fred used. Isn't he great? I'll give her credit. Last night she said, we're appointment setters and storytellers. That is one of the sharpest things I've ever heard. That's what we do. We set appointments and we tell stories. Okay, and how do you set the appointment? Tell a story. Tell a story. How do you get people to want to talk to the guy on the, your upline? Do a testimonial. Get them to want to do it. When you get that down, everything changes. Because remember, we're in a sorting game. We have obviously we care about people, but if that prospective customer wants to change their life, get their weight under control, get their blood pressure under control, get their, diabetes under control. If they want to, they'll do it. If they don't want to, they won't. We have no control over that. The very best we can hope for is that they'll want to do what we want them to do. And the only way we can get that is through stories of other people who've gotten the results that they would desire. And then either they do or they don't. Now, I'm not saying we don't care. We do. That's why we ask them. Unfortunately, for some of the people, we're just going to have to pray for them. That's the best we're going to be able to get them. Okay? Everybody wants to get rich. Everybody wants to be good looking and skinny. Everybody wants to go to heaven. Nobody wants to die. That's just human nature. Okay? If you're and something this is really important, and I meant to cover this on Thursday night and I didn't. I want every one of you no matter how long you've been in the business, how long how many times you've done this, I want you to get the memory jogger, and your, quasi-permanent prospect list and go through the process again. Listen to the little training tape that I did. It's on my regular YouTube channel called The List, and do it. Yes, Mom? Give me a second. Hang on, Mom. See you, Mom. Okay, I got it. I'll bring it to you, okay? No worries, Mom. Okay, guys, we're going to put a wrap on it. Do your memory jogger list and go through that process. Listen to my little video first, but I want each and every one of you to do that for me, okay? And then we'll be back on track. I'll send out a little communication here in a little bit. Great to see y'all. Take care.
Thanks, Fred.
We'll see you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.